All right, we are live for the Asian MMA Q&A. I think this is the 5th one we've done. Our second guest today, or not our second guest today, but my second guest of all time. Last week we had our first guest. This week is our second guest, which is Nick Atkins from the South China Morning Post, the man that runs the shit out there. What's going on, Nick?
Yeah, very good, man. Out here in Hong Kong. Thanks so much for having me. As always, pleasure to talk MMA with Mr. JHK anytime.
Oh, definitely, man. Let's start right now with Hong Kong, man. What's the situation out there? I'm pretty sure people that watch this show want to know, like, how is this affecting your job? Because your job is connected to MMA, so you know, I mean, you cover the sport. How is it affecting your company?
Yeah, well, obviously no shows to go to in Asia. The last show I went to was in Macau for Legend FC on December 28th. There were a couple of shows in January for ONE Championship I didn't go to, one in Thailand and one in Manila. But yeah, ever since February, ONE has not had any shows. Um, they had one in February behind closed doors, but ever since then they cancelled Vietnam. They've now cancelled all those Singapore shows. You know, they were going to be behind closed doors, so it's difficult for me. Just like you, right? You're
Mhm.
calling people, you're trying to get interviews, you're trying to get content. We're all in the same boat, I think. But it's kind of cool because I think fighters are actually picking up their phones a bit more now.
Mhm.
Maybe you found the same thing. They're all bored like us, right? I think they actually want to do something, which is just talk. So if there's one good thing to come out of this whole situation is people are talking a bit more. And in our industry, right, that means we're never far away from picking up a phone or turning on the FaceTime, whatever, WhatsApp. And yeah, I've spoken to a couple of guys this week from ONE Championship, Martin Wing and Onglan Sang. Got some good interviews in the bag. I'm sure I've been seeing you on Twitter. So you with Volkanovski, right? You've been busy, haven't you, John?
Yeah, yeah, trying to, man, trying to be busy, trying to pull out, you know, like what I can out my pockets. You know what I mean? Like, usually I try to cover what's coming up, what events are coming up, and who's fighting on those events. But then now there are no events, and it's only UFC. So
Yeah,
even with the UFC guys, they don't know if they're fighting or not, and especially if they're training abroad and the event is stateside. Like let's say this upcoming event, UFC 249, it looks like it's going to end up being on the West Coast somewhere. I'm pretty sure they're going to announce it today sometime, or not today, but tomorrow. I don't know. You know, today in America, but tomorrow for us. Um, so I don't know. They're gonna reshuffle everything, and it's I don't know. It's just a crazy time where it's never been like this anywhere, anytime. Like even like when 9/11 happened, yeah, it was crazy, but it was like crazy for the U.S. mostly, and then everybody was kind of like scared for a minute, but it was, you know, I feel like everybody got over it pretty quickly outside of the America. But this is like everywhere, like all over the place. It's affecting everybody, everything, every facet of life. And yeah, that's just it's just wild, man. So for you, you're just are you frozen? No, you're there. All right. I thought you were frozen. But for yourself, you know, you're getting in these interviews with Martin and Ong La. You know, the events are canceled. So what are they telling you? Your mic is off. You turn your mic off. Yeah,
you can hear me.
yeah, there you go.
All good.
Yeah.
Hey, man, sorry about that. I'm not very good with technology. Yeah, so I spoke to Ongla last week. He was still insistent that he would fight that weekend if it was possible. He said, "Tell me where, I'll go there. I'm ready to fight." Uh, Obviously, that's now not possible. With Chatri announcing they've cancelled all these shows. He's still targeting May 29th in Manila for what is a rescheduled Infinity One card. Still targeting the Vitali Big Dash fight. He says as long as the governments can figure it out, he'll be there. Spoke to Martin yesterday. He he won't be fighting soon. I think, because he wants to do a full camp. He's just done a full camp in Florida with Ongla, and that's now two camps he's done without a fight, obviously, because he was going to fight Christian Lee in October for a Century. He was going to fight Tan Lee this time, so he says he's not going to rush it. He wants to protect his legacy, right? And fair enough. When you're the champion, you don't want to take fights on short notice. I know it's tempting to after so much frustration, but I think Martin's doing the right thing, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. When you have that belt, when you have the strap, you have to protect that strap, and you have to go into every fight as close to 100% as possible. You don't want to be the underdog as the champ, right?
Yeah, for sure, especially against a guy like Tonley. Very dangerous. We've seen what he's capable of, and I don't think Martin has to rush. He's the A side in that fight. He likes to do things properly. He likes to be 100% ready. It means we may not see him till later down the year, and it's gonna maybe creep into 1 year outside the ring or the cage, the circle, whatever you want to call it. ONE Championship. Yeah, man. I feel like Ongla though is willing to fight anybody anywhere. Maybe a little bit to do with age. Ongla is gonna be 35 soon, I think, and I think he's been a bit of a late bloomer, so he wants to do everything now. Maybe he feels the window's closing a bit more than Martin, but I don't know. They're two different guys. They spend a lot of time together, but I think both guys have their own mindset, and who's to say who's right, who's wrong? Hopefully, see them both fighting soon, but I think we'll see Ongla sooner. But it's still touch and go for that Manila card. I don't see it happening. It's still quite. It's not very. It's maybe 6 weeks away. Is it 7 weeks?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, May 29th. So who knows? The situation could clear up a lot more. But in Hong Kong, I'm on lockdown. Our office, South China Morning Post office, has been closed for at least 2 weeks. It was already closed for 2 weeks over Lunar New Year, then closed again. There's a spate of new infections, a lot of them coming in from outside Hong Kong, from Europe, from America. So all the bars here are now closed. Everybody's staying indoors. I can't see Hong Kong opening up anytime soon. Maybe May at the earliest, but I can't see people wanting to even fly out of Hong Kong anytime soon. So who knows? I'd love to go. You can see the T-shirt behind me. I'll get out of the way. Is the last time I was in Manila for ONE Championship show, Eddie Alvarez v Edouard Folayang. That was a cool show. Love to go back to the Mall of Asia Arena again. And it looked like it will be a stacked card if they can get it going, because they've had to postpone a few fights. Kind of like the UFC. If this 249 show is going to happen, it sounds like it might be pretty stacked, because everybody's looking to fight.
Yeah, and also they just canceled 2
Yeah.
shows, the 2 shows before that. So all those guys, whoever's stateside, basically, they're gonna end up fighting on that card, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, ONE Championship. When you look at Martin and his fight against Tan Lee, I feel like that matchup is the most dangerous of his career so far. Probably not the most skilled fighter, but I feel like the most dangerous opponent that he could face. If you look at his resume throughout the years, I think Tan Lee is that guy. So yeah, it's smart for Martin to take his time and go into that fight fully prepared, even though he's done back-to-back camps for nobody basically. But he's probably gotten much better training out there in Florida at Sanford MMA and all that. So we'll see what happens with that. Ongla, like you said, you're right. He's older. He needs to get as many fights in as possible. It's not about he's hungrier. It's just that I feel like he's at that point in his career where he needs to fight as often as possible, because he feels like he's running on all gears and he's pushing, and he feels like he's unbeatable. So might as well fight everybody while you feel that way, right? And I feel like in this Vitaly Big Dash fight, he goes in there as a major um what made your favorite in that fight? You know, if you watch the last couple, the first two, you could kind of see that why I believe that. But yeah, yeah, Manila, man, Philippines. I think they're having like some shoot on sight policy on
Yeah.
something. I don't know, some crazy shit is going down over there, right?
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on what happened, but I saw that President Duterte said something similar or something akin to that. Uh, and there's been a huge backlash against it. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't sound like ideal conditions for hosting an event anytime soon. Uh, yeah, I'm of the opinion that let's just stop. Let's. Why do we need to do this now? We can wait. Just before I jumped on this call, I was watching WrestleMania, and it's being they're just I love wrestling, professional wrestling. But I thought they should have really postponed this show. It's not WrestleMania when it's in an empty, tiny studio. It needs to be in front of 80,000 people in a stadium, like it has been for the most of the last 10 years. Um, so I would just like them to put the brakes on it. I think it's safety has to be first, especially why would you want to endanger the fighters? They need their camps there. I think ONE Championship is getting that's getting through to them a bit more clearly, and I like what Chatri's done. I think he's taken the wise choice. I'm not really a fan of Dana plowing ahead with it, but he's just gonna call me a wimp or whatever, so that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you know, when you have these travel bans and these 2-week quarantines when you enter a country, it's impossible to do a show. No one
Yeah,
country in this region is big enough and has enough fighters to for ONE Championship to go there and have a show. It's almost impossible. So it's they they were put into a corner basically. You know, I don't know how much it has to do with that or it has to do with like concerns of health. Of course, it's probably both. But yeah, it's just it's a terrible situation for the sport right now. And but you know, there's always something to write about. Fight, like you said, fighters are now doing more interviews, doing more podcasts, doing more everything, and doing more social media. And everybody's trying to get news stories out of there. And Chael Sonnen, he said it the best. It's like right now you could call out anybody. Just call out everybody because you're probably not gonna fight.
yeah. No, you're right. You're 100% right. I'm trying to figure out how the hell to start up a podcast. As I said at the beginning of the show, I'm not very good with technology, so I've been asking you like, what the hell do I do? I need to buy a mic or a webcam or something. But yeah, everyone's got a podcast now. It was interesting what you said. I think ONE Championship was backed more into a corner. You're right. They do have less fighters ready to go in Singapore. Uh, in theory, so this I presume this means 249 is going to be in the US or not going to
Yeah.
be in Abu Dhabi or whatever.
No, I don't think so.
Where the hell are they going to do it? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm hearing that it's gonna be either in California or Florida. Somehow they're gonna be able to do it there, but man, it's that's just all
Why?
speculation until Dana White comes out and says exactly where the location is, and then you got to get fighters on a plane. Are you gonna put them on a plane? Are you gonna put them on a car? Are you gonna put them on a bus? Are you gonna put them on a train to get there? I don't know. It's like, how much money you're gonna spend on just keeping these guys away from each other and healthy, and then be able to fight each other in an empty state.
Yeah,
Oh, ONE Championship, they did have a show with no audience, right? Like right before everything was shut down.
yeah,
Was
Singapore.
you weren't there, but was Leon was there, right? Did you talk to him about that?
Was he there? He's at every show. Leon Jennings
Yeah,
from Asian Persuasion MMA. I presume he
yeah.
was there. Um, uh, I'll double check with him, but I don't think he was there actually. I know that I think Andy Whitelaw was there
Mhm.
with Fox Sports Asia. Uh, by the sounds of it, it was a surreal experience for everyone. But even if they were going to do these behind closed doors shows in Singapore, there's no way we would have got in.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really change it for me. Uh, I I would love to go. I'm missing it. It's complete buzz, right? You know the deal. When we were in Busan together for
Mhm.
UFC fight night, it's a nice trip, isn't it? Fight week is always great, especially in Asia. So I'm missing those trips. Love to get back out there, but I don't see it happening before August, September. I thought, Khabib said he isn't going to fight until August at the earliest. I'm presuming he's out of this 249. Is it going to be
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
else? Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be someone else. It's most likely gonna be Gaethje because Gaethje has the same manager as Khabib, and
Yeah.
Khabib probably knew a long time ago that he probably wasn't gonna fight and he was gonna go back to Russia. So his manager probably told, Gaethje like, "Hey, this spot's gonna open up. You better get ready because this opportunity is gonna come for you to fight Ferguson because Ferguson's gonna fight anybody. He's not a type of guy that's just gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna turn this fight down. If he went through camp, I'm pretty sure he'll just fight anybody, especially if he's getting paid a lot. So, yeah, I feel like that's the fight that they're gonna announce. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's not even gonna be the fight. You got Ngannou and Rosenstrike. That fight was supposed to happen, and both of them, I feel like they're stateside. Maybe I'm not for sure, but who knows? Who knows? We're gonna see some weird stuff in the next 24 hours. Some weird matchups. I feel like because there's a lot of guys that won't be able to make it to stateside. And then the week after that, you got Lincoln, UFC Lincoln, and the week after that, you got I think another one, another UFC somewhere, and then you got the pay-per-views in Brazil. So they're trying to push all the Brazilians that are supposed to be on the pay-per-view 250, like Jose Aldo, and send them stateside
Mm,
before the travel ban locks them down in Brazil. And I don't know if they were successful in doing that or not, but that's what they tried to do, I guess. But I don't know. It's just they're putting a lot of effort into it, man, and I feel like you should just put it on pause and let
yeah.
this thing cool out for a couple months, just like us. I've been on like quarantine, self quarantine, or whatever you want to call
Mm,
it, for like over a month. You know what I mean? Like I've really barely ever been out the house for over a month, man, because I can't even go to the gym or nothing. It's just you're just stuck in this position, right? And then it's just like, man, if we're stuck like this, who's even training for the fights? I talk to the fighters, they're like, oh, one guy, he's by himself at home in his basement with the Airdyne, a punching bag, and a squat rack, no training partners, and he has a fight coming up at UFC Lincoln. Another guy, he's in Atlanta, he has three training partners at the gym, so they could go to the gym, and they have the coach and two of his training partners, and they could train for like 2 hours there, and then the rest of the stuff they do alone. But if you compare that, man, one guy doesn't have anything. Basically, he's just training like Rocky style by himself in the basement, and the other guy has his coach and his training partners. Who's gonna have the advantage now? It's it's not a fair playing field, right?
no, absolutely. That's why I'm in favor of scrapping the whole thing. But it speaks to a wider problem in MMA or of fighter pay, doesn't it? It's not like the NBA. It's not like the NFL. It's not like Premier League football or soccer, where these guys are on contracts making big money and they don't need to fight. They don't need to play the sport they're doing. MMA, a lot of the guys, a surprising amount, they need to fight to pay the bills, right? To to eat. So no wonder everyone wants to fight, and they'll do it. They'll go to extreme lengths, like you said, training without a proper setup to do it. And I think that's something that's wrong. If there was ever a time to look at unionizing, this is the time, right? But I think everyone just wants to be a team player for UFC right now, and who can blame them? It's that's how it works, right? Dana White's system is how it is. Positives and negatives. I think, but it's plain to see that's an issue in the sport right now.
Yeah, just like the promotions are forced into a corner, these UFC fighters are basically forced into a corner, and a lot of them are paycheck to paycheck, so they have to
Yeah,
go fight because if they don't, then what? How are they going to pay their bills? Some of them have families. It's just Yeah, it's just all the dirt that they sweep under the rug that a lot of times people don't talk about the sport, the dirty side of it. Not I don't know if it's the dirty side, but just the the negative side of the sport, I guess. It's all coming out now, you know what I mean? But us talking about it, we could talk all day. We could go to the roof and scream it out to our neighbors, and that really doesn't do too much, right? It's up to the fighters to do it. You know what I mean? It's up to the coaches, it's up to the managers, it's up to them. It's not really up to us. So like you see a lot of journalists like screaming and like attacking the UFC, and I don't think you need to attack the UFC, right? You don't even think you need to attack the
No,
Dana White. You just express your opinions, man. That's all it is. It's just express your opinions. There's no need to go attacking people for stuff, because at the end of the day, Dana White, he says things because he's a promoter. He runs a organization. It's not like he just says it because he's really angry at somebody. He looks like he is, you know what I mean? But I don't think he is. I just think he's a salesman. He's the ultimate salesman, right? And he'll say anything to do and get what he wants. So you gotta think before you say anything like towards him negatively, because you gotta think. It's like, are you gonna go to a car salesman and tell him like your piece about his job, like you're doing it wrong? Come on, it's it's, it's, it's pointless. But expressing your opinion, yeah, that's good. But at the end of the day, like I said, it takes everybody as collectively to work together to fix something, and it's not gonna happen. you got
no,
It's an individual sport.
yeah, well, we'd be expecting too much to think this might change anything in MMA. But
Mhm.
as you said, we can express our opinions. Yeah, I was that was a little bit annoying when I saw Dana say the criticism. He lashed out and said all the people covering it are just wimps or whatever. Yeah, I think some valid points were raised. What did it was it that Mark Raimondi said? It's a legitimate question. Yeah, he said it with tongue in cheek at the UFC 249 presser, but it is
Mhm.
a legitimate question when he was asking about coronavirus then, and I think it's a legitimate question now asking about this. So, as you said, though, there's no point lingering on it. Nothing's going to change. So what?
Yeah, and also he he was doing interviews, right? But he's doing interviews with guys that are just gonna pump him up. If you really want to do an interview, like I said, like goes back
Yeah,
to the car salesman thing. You're gonna go to do an interview with a guy that's gonna push what you want to push because you're a salesman. You're not gonna do an interview with a guy that's gonna go against and like pick at your sales pitch. That's not gonna happen. And that's what he did. And some people recognize that, and some people don't recognize it at all. But and it all depends, what kind of journalist or reporter or interviewer you are. I mean, if you're that style, then you're that style. If you're not, you're not. I mean, that's what it is. But yeah, but at least they paid the guys in London that they canceled the show, because they try to use that
yeah.
postpone thing, and postpone means like they don't have to pay you basically, from what I remember. So we'll see what happens with like Columbus and Portland, which are those other shows that got postponed. Rizin, they canceled all their shows, and I feel like in Asia, ONE Championship and Rizin are the biggest shows out here, right? The biggest promotions. And if the biggest promotions out here are canceling the shows, that means any other promotion out there, they're gonna cancel their shows too. You just have to. The borders are closed, and Road FC, they canceled all their shows for this month, or they only had one show, but it was the first show of the year. That first show of the year is a big deal for them, for anybody, and they had to cancel it because of the coronavirus. But it's getting better. You know what I mean? Like the numbers are are dwindling. It's getting lower every day it goes by, but it doesn't matter if it gets lower. You just need to be safer and take precautions. And hopefully, Hong Kong, you had people flying in, and you got this second wave, which is so like I don't know how to describe it. It's irresponsible, man. Like these people, they how many of them knew that they had something, like they were sick before they even got on the plane? That's the thing. How many knew? You know what I mean? Like that's so irresponsible. And then they just spread it to that city. It's just like, man. it makes me angry. Like people, just irresponsible people. But there's stupid people everywhere, so you can't change that. There's stupid people everywhere.
Yeah, man.
Here, like even here. So
What can
you
you do, right?
what is your day consist of? Like you're in your apartment or your flat. What do you do every day? Like you try to get your little exercise in probably, and are you just working from home basically?
Yeah, I just warn you, I got the battery on these. They might go, so if it dies, I'll switch over to the computer mic.
Mhm.
But
Alright.
yeah, I've been back working now for like a week. I took a little bit of holiday because why not, right? Nothing's happening. Yeah, work at home. Just I'll try take a little walk on my own if I can. If I at a time I know is going to be quiet. I try and take precautions as much as I can, face mask, everything. But there's people here walking around without face masks. There's people here. I walk past. You can see groups of more than four. Now the Hong Kong has limited it. It's legally you're only allowed to have four of you gathered in one place. Then there has to be like a 2 meter gap to the next group of four. But there's people just breaking these rules everywhere. Uh, it's frustrating because yeah, we all need to do a little bit more. I'm a bit lucky. I don't think Hong Kong is as bad as the UK or America, some cities in America. So I'd be way more worried about even leaving my apartment if I was in the UK where my family are. And I'm lucky I live on my own. I I don't really have anyone I can pass the infection onto here. Yeah, I'd be terrified. If I'm living with my parents back home, I would be terrified to leave the house. But it's just a scary situation. There's been a lot of cases nearby where I live. Rapidly, I live near the bars, near the entertainment district. A lot of cases there. uh, Lan Kwai Fong, the nightclub zone, is about 5-10 minute walk away. There was a one of the live bands playing there, the house bands, like all of the band had the infection and then they passed it on to the staff and some of the customers got it. And that's how it spreads, right? Just
Mhm.
people being a bit ignorant. I would never go to a nightclub and I just think that's irresponsible, but I don't want to judge anyone. It's up to each person. I had one of my best friends was leaving Hong Kong last week or the week before, and we organized a huge boat party for him, like 30 people. We were all gonna have a great day out. A junk boat is what it's called. It's a big traditional thing in Hong Kong. You just get on a boat for 7 hours. It drives out to a beach somewhere, and you drink all day and frolic, jump in the water. But yeah, we had to cancel the whole thing. Everyone lost like 650 Hong Kong dollars trying to get the money back from my friends. But yeah, there's nothing we could do because we all decided it's irresponsible to go on this, and I think that's what's annoying me. To bring it back to MMA, why do we need to do these shows? Everyone needs to do their part. I think it's the only way we're going to really combat this is everyone does what they can, right?
Yeah, definitely. Now, let's go back to the MMA and talk about Asian MMA. If you guys
Sure.
listening right now got any questions about anything to do with MMA in Asia or Asian MMA, put them in the comments. Now, Volkanovski, I interviewed him. He was talking about the division, and he's also said that he's probably not going to fight anytime soon because he can't even get a proper training camp, and he's the champ. But we talked about the contenders, in that division, and one of the contenders is an Asian fellow, and you and him, or you and me, watched him pick up a big win, live. Actually, well, you watched it live. I was in the back covering the post fight. You got the
Yeah.
lucky feats. Um, now that's I don't understand that about the UFC either. You know what I mean? Like when you cover the events, like you have to have a pass for all these different sections. It's like, come on, man. Like for the main event, you just can't go out there and stand and watch this. It kind of annoys me a little bit. But anyways,
Well, there
we
was
watched the
three
Korean
empty
Zombie.
seats, man. Like, right,
Yeah.
I was second row with Leon Jennings from APMA, and right in front of us there was just half-empty road, no one out there, and we asked the PRs like, "Oh, is it okay we can move in the front?" They said, "No, you cannot." And then why would you not take up a front row seat cage side? And why would you give someone that seat if they're not going to sit there? It kind of annoys me, right? Anyway,
Exactly. Don't even
you
show
could have
up
been there,
now.
John. You could have been there.
Yeah.
You were freezing in the back. I saw you,
Yeah, I was,
like
man,
huddled over that
it was
little
cold.
what was that? The warmer, the hand warmer.
Yeah, I wasn't even near, they only had one hand, that warmer thing in that big ass room. It was just so fucked up, man. And I was back there
It's
for
like a
6
gym,
hours.
wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, it was like a
yeah,
gym with it was like one of those old, like, gyms from the 1960s, just empty and cold. And even the fighters, when they came in, they're like, "Oh my god, why is it so cold in here?"
shit,
And I was like, "I've been sitting in here for 6 hours, god damn it." And they
yeah.
had one of those box heaters, but it was only one. So it's like, how do you just have one for, they should have like six of them. At least six of them would have warmed people up. But anyways, yeah, so going back to Korean Zombie, he goes in there, he's supposed to fight Brian Ortega. That was the big matchup. Ortega gets injured. Frankie Edgar steps in again, and Frankie Edgar is not very lucky in late notice fights. He gets finished. Was it the first round or the second round? I think it was the
First round,
second
yeah.
round. Oh, first
I
round?
think
Okay,
it
first
was late,
round.
late in the first, yeah.
Okay, first round, he gets finished.
Yeah.
So, do you think, like, for the Korean Zombie, right? Does that justify a title shot, do you believe, compared to, like, let's say a Max rematch, or even like a Zabit or a Yair Rodriguez? Who do you think the Korean Zombie should get the fight?
I don't. I think if the original fight that was scheduled, Korean Zombie against Brian Ortega was, if that had gone ahead, that the winner of that for me would have got the next shot. I don't think beating Frankie Edgar really earns that shot for Zombie. As tough as it is to say, because I love him and he's great, and I love seeing the Asian fighters obviously do well, and I love having Asian champions. Zhang Weili is doing great, especially for Southchina Morning Post where I work. It's great to cover and to see Asian fighters doing so well. But I think let's just do that Zombie Ortega fight, right? It's like the beef has been raised with the slap on J Park, and it's going to give it way more spice than it had originally. I think it should be a much better fight now. Weirdly, there's much whatever you think about trash talk, that did add an extra level of something to it. And I know that they made up, but Korean Zombie's going to want to knock Tager out, isn't he?
That was a perfect example of manufactured trash talk
Yeah,
leading to a real bona fide beef between fighters. It's like, usually when they manufacture trash talk, they just go back and forth, and if they see each other, they could go two ways. They could stand from a distance and like talk trash to each other, or they could just come together and just shake hands and agree to like keep talking trash in the media against each other, and then not really do anything until they meet each other in the cage. But this one just led to like someone getting slapped, and I feel like, he kind of deserved that. That's my opinion.
mm,
You shouldn't get involved. You shouldn't, if you're not a fighter, if you're not a coach, you should not be in there getting involved in that, like, in any way. There was no reason for him to be translating. He's not a translator. So he's not a translator. He's not a
yeah,
person that should be translating for somebody else. It's not. It doesn't make any sense. But anyways,
yeah,
going back to you covering Asian sport, you
yeah,
mentioned
man.
the Zombie. It's great, man. The Zombie's great. Zhang Weili is great. Uh, uh, Yan Nan is great. The Leech, man. How disappointing was the Leech at 248? Was that a very disappointing performance, man? Like, I felt like, man, he should have done a little better than that. It's just he laid a goose egg, right?
I don't think it was him being bad necessarily. I think it was Neil Magny being incredible. He
Mhm.
was just way too good. I think other than I think Leach landed one pretty good shot early in the first round, but other than that, the whole fight was Magny. I think it's just the fact is that division is so stacked. It's kind of unfair on Leach. And if he was in any other division, I think he would have cracked the top 10. He definitely would have been top 15, but that division is so hard to get in the rankings. And he did get in there after Shenzhen when he beat De Los Santos. Is that the thing? Yeah. But
Valesky.
then the ironic thing was, yeah. So then Conor McGregor goes and beats Cerrone in January, and then knocks him out of the rankings. So just by entering them, so unfair on the leech. He didn't even get to fight while being in the rankings. But I keep knocking away at the door. He deserves it. I just think the ceiling is a little bit. He's never going to get higher than a certain point. But what he's done for Asian MMA, he's a true pioneer, especially for Chinese MMA, and nothing should be taken away from him. He's a great fighter. He's a very entertaining fighter, and he's a cool dude. Having spoken to him in Macau, he's a very entertaining character.
Yeah, I feel like he can be a guy that leads the way for the next generation. He's good. He still has a lot of fights in him, though. He still has a lot of exciting fights. He could still main event a fight night in China somewhere. And I'm pretty sure when this is all over, we're gonna start seeing like at least like 2 shows a year in China, at least maybe 3, just continuing the what is it, the train, the campaign into China. I feel like the UFC is really uh uh they're really like set on growing the sport in China, and of course, you cover the sport, you would know better than anybody else that that they're building something out there, right? They gotta be. It's just like they have the UFC Academy going on. I'm pretty sure that they're producing fighters through there. They're gonna have the Contender Series Asia uh when this stuff is all over. Um so like talking about numbers, the champ, Zhang Wei Li, does she pump does she produce a lot of numbers for you guys for your publication? Oh, I can't hear you.
McGregor or
Oh, there you go.
Khabib. Okay, let me take these out.
All right.
1 second.
All right.
Is that okay? You
Yeah,
hear
that
me?
sounds good. Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, I had to take out the AirPods. They only last like half an hour. I need to buy some new ones or something. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, she does. She's not a McGregor. She's not a Khabib, obviously. But she does good numbers relatively. I think there's a lot of people who don't know her still, and that was why Dana White wanted to get her on a card in Las Vegas. I'm pretty sure a lot more people know her now after that fight. It was such an incredible fight. I still think she's not the full package yet in terms of a superstar, but Dana has plans for her. I think, as he said in the press conference, we know how to do this. We know how to make these people. We've done it with Conor. We've done it with Ronda. The challenge is, can they make her that star, not just in China, but in the US? And yeah, who knows? It's good. I like seeing her. She's really throwing herself into learning English, which, it's like she shouldn't have to learn it, right? It's kind of sucks. Why, but the hard, honest truth is, if you can speak English and deliver a good interview in English, it will help you get more star power in this industry. So yeah, her English has come on a lot in the last year, especially since her title win. I think a lot more people know who she is now, as I said, and I'm just so happy to have her because it really helps me and my company do more. And what we want to do is shine a light on MMA in Asia, and to have a champion, such a high-profile fighter in Zhang Wei Li, it's only a good thing, right? And hopefully more soon. Yeah, as you alluded to, the Contender Series, right? That sucks. We were all set to have some awesome content lined up for that. I've been holding everything after my
what about how we're going to tell the plan is
All right. Well, yeah. Well, I'm very interested or curious about that plan. But
curious about that, man.
is there an echo? There's something weird going on. Yeah, you better shut it off. No, it still sounds weird.
I'm gonna
No, that sounds weird too. Yeah, someone's saying the audio is pretty bad right now. Wait up.
Should I reach up?
Let me see. How about now? Nick, you sound like an alien. You sound like it's so
Structure chat maybe.
go out and come back in.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, you guys listening, give us like a couple seconds so Nick could come back in, then we'll get to these questions you guys got up here. So if you guys got some more questions, Nick is very knowledgeable about ONE Championship. So anything ONE Championship, and UFC, he knows a lot about that and could give a good insight.
How are we doing? Is that any better?
Good, man. Good.
Okay.
Now, all right, now we're gonna get to some of these questions, man.
right.
I'm gonna put the questions on the screen so you can look at them. So
Sure,
here we go. This is the first question from Real Snitch Mob Hitter. That's like one of the best names ever. This guy, he's always watching the live stream. So shout out to this guy or girl. We don't know if it's a girl, but who do you think Zhang Jinnan is going to fight next? I feel like they already announced that fight with Tiffany Teo, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say it seemed like they were positioning her to fight Tiffany Teo next, and Angela Lee was gonna fight Denise Zamboanga. I think they're just trying to keep Angela and Zhang apart a little bit longer before they do that trilogy, which they're probably going to try and do the trilogy in Tokyo, which is October. Just why not? Because both fights have been in Tokyo, and when you get Angela Lee and Zhang Jingnan in a cage in Tokyo, it seems to produce magic. So I'm fine with that. Let's give them both the fight before then. That's presumably successful title defenses. I can't see either of them being troubled. And it looks like Angela's going to try and get that strawweight title again, become the champ.
There's really no one else for Jinnan to fight in that strawweight division. That is a shallow division right there.
Well, you know what? This is something that annoys me. You've got Michelle Nicolini, who beat Angela Lee, and we haven't even heard from her since. She's not had a fight since. Same as Cosmo. Like Cosmo when he beat Sage, we've not heard anything from Cosmo. Like, it's weird. Yeah, I want to see these guys fight and these girls fight. If they knock off someone like Angela Lee, why isn't Michelle Nicolini getting a title shot at Zhang Jingnan? It's so weird.
They should have done it before Tiffany fought Michelle, because Tiffany beat Michelle in the last fight, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that should have happened a long time ago. And then if Michelle lost, you could still put that fight with Tiffany together, and it still makes sense. And if Tiffany beats Michelle, then you give Tiffany the rematch, right? Because now it's like Tiffany's going into this rematch. She's much better than she was in the first fight, but is she that much better to where she has a chance against Jinnan? I don't know. You probably know better than me, but I don't know if it's gonna be a close fight or not. You know what I mean? Like, she's a monster. Jinnan's a monster.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This is one thing that annoys me about ONE Championship is that just the matchmaking seems a bit haphazard sometimes, like just throwing stuff, and there's no rhyme or reason to it sometimes. But you can say that about any promotion. I think the UFC showed it with Yoel Romero getting a title shot and Jose Aldo getting a title shot after losing. Sometimes it's just not. It just happens, right? I don't know. I think Zhong Jingnan, she's probably got enough to retain the belt. So let's see it. Let's see it. Yeah, and then hopefully Michelle can get something because it's coming up on a year from her win against Angela. I know it was a shock, but it's like, what do you want to do when UFC when Holly Holm beat Ronda Rousey? They made Holly Holm a star. They didn't hold her back. They tried to push her, but ONE Championship, Michelle beat their biggest star, but then we never hear from her again. And I understand why, but I'd like to see Michelle fight. I think she earned it. I think she deserves it.
Yeah. It's like she needs to come back and at least win one fight, you know what I mean, against somebody and then get the title shot. Because coming off a loss, but like you said, matchmaking can be haphazard. So why not just throw her in against Jinan? Because she does kind of pose a unique skill set against any of those girls because she's so good on the ground, right? And if you go on the ground and play that game,
man.
she could wrap you up and it's night, and she could be carrying that belt home. Now let's go to the next question. Also, do you think Yan Xiaonan will fight loser of Rose versus Jessica Andrade or Tatiana Suarez? Who do you think is gonna fight Yan next?
Yeah, that's good suggestions both. I just got this sneaky feeling they're gonna try and throw Yan against Wei Li. I don't know. It's crazy. Do you feel that could happen? They might just go all guns in, Chinese v Chinese fighter, and put it on a card in Beijing or something. It would be a spectacle, wouldn't it?
A Chinese pay-per-view you're talking about?
Yeah, who knows? I just yeah, that would be cool. But a Chinese pay-per-view, yeah, like not just a fight night. That would be something cool.
Well, I talked to their coach, right? Their strength and conditioning coach, last week, I believe, and he's saying, yeah, put that fight together. He want to see it, and he said that both of them will fight each other. Like they're down, even though they know each other, they're friends, but when they train together, they're not friends, so they'll fight each other. So that's an interesting matchup. I don't believe they're gonna do it. I believe that Jan's gonna fight either Rose or Jessica Andrade or Tatiana Suarez, one of those. But they're not gonna. They'll do it like maybe in 2021. I don't see it happening this year. But who knows? Wilder things have happened. You know more about that than me. So we'll see what happens with those girls. But who do you think Wei Li's gonna fight next?
Probably not. Yeah, man. But that sounds good. Yan against Rose or Jessica or Tatiana. So I'm down for any of those fights. Yeah, as you said, maybe they wait a little bit longer to pull the trigger on that one. It'll be cool. Yeah, and they are friends, but only when they're outside the cage. So I just want to see Rose v Jessica. I hope that goes ahead.
What about Wei Li? What do you think is gonna happen with her?
She's still in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd take a little bit of time off. I think it's probably an emotional toll this has taken on her, it being stranded in America. Don't rush her. I think that rematch is there anytime they want to go to it, but I don't think Joanna is going to fight anytime soon, given the state of some of the injuries she suffered. I'm not a fan of immediate rematches, but if there's a fight that I would like to see an immediate rematch of, that's one of them. Otherwise, yeah, you can wait. And if Jessica beats Rose, I don't really want to see Jessica v Wei Li because it was so conclusive. But if Rose beats Jessica, I would love to see Rose v Wei Li. So yeah, if that happens, I'm all up for Namajunas going up against Willie, but I don't think it needs to be anytime soon, and it shouldn't be just because the mental and physical toll that she suffered in that fight and after that fight. Give her a bit of time, and it can't be easy being that was a big occasion for her. She had to do a million interviews. She had to. There's a lot of pressure on her shoulders. It's not easy being the first Chinese UFC champion. I think there's a lot of pressure. Dana White obviously sees huge potential in her and huge money. So let her enjoy that win. Let her get back to China and just chill out and spend some time with the family. And then we'll think about it. I think maybe end of this year. She wants to do Madison Square Garden. I think that would be cool if that's still on November. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, Rose beats Andrade. She fights Wei Li at the end of the year. That's the only fight to
That's
make.
cool. Yeah, I like that.
Tatiana's still injured. She's still injured. She doesn't know when she's gonna be back. Her neck's messed up. Hyon, I say she basically fights the loser of Rose and Andrade. She kind of sets it up pretty good. And then 2021, if both of them win, they could fight each other. Who knows what could happen with that?
Yeah, it's a good division. I like it.
Yeah. All right. Next question is: do you think Stamp is going to focus on her getting her title back, or will she go MMA again? What do you think, Nick?
Oh man, my guy Matt Scott, my freelancer, just spoke to her yesterday or today, so I'm sure he got an answer out of her. I haven't seen his. He hasn't sent me his article yet, so I'm sure I'll read that tomorrow, and it will be on SCMP this week. I've. It was a close fight. They won against Janet Todd, so I'm sure Chatri will give her a chance to win that back. When I spoke to her in the end of last year, December, she said she didn't plan on just giving up those titles and focusing on MMA. She was going to defend them all. So I can see her going back for another crack, and I don't think she's ready yet, fully in MMA to trouble Angela Lee. I think that's the path they want to go down eventually, but she needs a lot of work on her ground game, and she trains with Denise Zamboanga, who is gonna fight Angela Lee whenever all this lockdown ends. And Denise regularly, this is what I've heard, will completely dominate Stamp on the ground. So she's got a lot of work to do, I think, before, unless she wants to change the division. But so keep doing what she's doing. I think they're feeding her the right kind of opponents to find her feet in MMA. Yeah, and I'm in favor of seeing her fight Janet Todd again, try and win back the kickboxing title. But she's also got a Muay Thai title to defend. So Stamp has many options. One thing I didn't like was I thought they were using her too much. She fought in October, I think, and then December, then January. Like, if don't push her too much, because I think it took a toll on her in January. She wasn't 100% from. She wasn't the Stamp I saw against B Wing in Manila. So let Stamp have a bit more rest. I think obviously now she's going to get it because no one's fighting anytime soon. So I think we'll see a different Stamp. We'll see the old Stamp in her next fight, and why not throw her against Janet? Yeah.
With Denise Zamboanga being her teammate and a close training partner, I feel like they're not gonna push Stamp into MMA and push her into like that top 5 or even the top 10. I feel like they're gonna focus her on the Muay Thai and the kickboxing and let them have their own lane, basically, right? You don't want to put them in the same lane and they're training partners and they're like good friends and all of that. Why would you want to turn them against each other in many ways, right? Of course they want to compete, but you want to give Stamp her lane and give Denise her lane and have 2 separate superstars running side by side, right? Doing their own thing. And to be honest with you, I see a Stamp, she's getting bigger. And I feel like instead of being an atom weight, I feel like you could pump her up and get her up to that straw weight class in MMA and go after Jinan, but it's gonna be a slow development. It's not like it's gonna happen like next year or anything like that. But you could have her fight girls as a strawweight and slowly move up while she's still kind of defending her titles in Muay Thai and challenging for the kickboxing titles. I feel like that is the best way to do it because you don't want them to be fighting in the same division because man, it's just you don't have enough girls. You don't have enough girls in those
I think
divisions.
two things. I think Angela, I don't think she'll hang around at atomweight forever. It's tough for her, I think, to make that. I think if she wins the strawweight title, she may vacate the atomweight belt. That's just my hunch. Who knows? But also, I think ONE wants to make a female Filipino star. They have Team Lakai on the male side. Denise, you're right. I think you're right, but they clearly see a lot of potential in Stamp. But I think ONE needs to remember that they need for the shows in Bangkok, in Thailand. Stamp is a reliable face to market everything, and that's why I thought it was a bit risky having her fight so soon again in January, and she lost the title. You got to protect your assets in those markets. It's like when they go to Malaysia, they don't really have a superstar, do they? They have Aguilan, they have Jihin, but they don't have anyone who's really title contender or title winner. But so I'd be careful with Stamp. I wouldn't push her too hard. I think focus more on the kickboxing and Muay Thai because that's her bread and butter, right?
Yeah, and then dabble once in a while with the MMA, but not. And you could do it as an atom weight, but you don't have to rush her. You don't have to push her into the MMA. I was like pushing. I had that mentality for a while. Like forget about the Muay Thai, forget about the kickboxing. Go with the MMA. Just have her focus on that. But now that I've seen her, I feel like okay, she does have a teammate that is better than her at MMA. They're in the same weight class. Why would you want to run them simultaneously? Let Stamp get as much as she can, as much success, as much experience with kickboxing and Muay Thai. And like you said, in those markets like in Bangkok and even in Singapore, she could go and headline those shows and draw a crowd and grow her star power. Because I feel like she could still grow it much bigger than it is right now. She's she's created the Stamp dance and all those unique little social media blitzes and all that. So hopefully, they do that and Fairtex, the guys that run Fairtex, they're smart guys. They know what they're doing. So I'm pretty sure they're thinking the same thing. Yeah. So Denise, what do you think? What do you think her chances are against Angela Lee though?
She looked really good last time out. I was surprised. I think Angela's got enough, personally, but I thought Angela had enough against Nicolini, and she didn't. So, I'd stick to my prediction. I would go with Angela. Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. I think Denise, like, she has the capability to beat. She dominated Mei Yamaguchi.
Yeah.
Better than Angela Lee did. Like more dominant than Angela Lee did. Angela Lee was never dominant against Mei Yamaguchi. Both those fights were very, very close fights. And even a lot of people thought Mei Yamaguchi won those fights. But this one, the fight that Denise and Mei Yamaguchi, that was a one-sided beatdown right there. If you saw Mei Yamaguchi's face, it looked like someone hit her with a baseball bat, right? So and Mei Yamaguchi, I love Mei Yamaguchi. She's such a good fighter, so experienced, but it seems like she's kind of plateaued in many ways. You know what I mean? It's gonna be interesting to see who she fights next, but she could kind of turn into that gatekeeper role in that division and just kind of beat off all the contenders, right? To kind of get the gauge and like how good they are when they come in. All right, let's take one more question and we're gonna take off. All right.
Sorry, I was going to say I love Mei Yamaguchi, and I thought I was calling for her to get a title shot. I thought she earned one.
Yeah.
But now she's at the back of the line again. Sucks for her, but yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, I support you too, man, on that. Like I was yelling for a title shot like last year. Like she didn't even have to take on Denise
No,
Zamboanga. She should have got a title shot. Like
she
all those fights with Meng Bo. Like speaking of Mei Yamaguchi, she actually was supposed to fight Meng Bo, but Meng Bo pulled out again. I think that's like the fourth time or something like that against Mei Yamaguchi. But someone has a question say if Meng Bo comes back, who should she fight? Since I was hoping to see more of her after her win over Laura Balin. Who do you think Meng Bo should fight if she comes back? Do you think she should just fight Mei Yamaguchi since they already matched up 3 times?
Yeah, why not? You said it right, man. That one's been made before, so I think that's a good fight. As you said, May now seems to be settling into a bit of a gatekeeper role. I think that's perfect, to be honest. Like, no other name is really springing to mind for me. I don't know. What do you think off the top of your head?
Man, it's Mengbo, she could fight a number of girls. She could fight B Win. She could fight those are kind of like, like testers, like of course Mei Yamaguchi is the biggest test, but you like B Win or what's the Japanese girl? The one that just fought in Jakarta. Izuki,
Yeah,
what is it? It
yeah,
Itsuki or something like that. Itsuki, right? She was supposed to
yeah,
fight B Win, right? But that never happened. But she seems like one of the up and
yeah.
comers.
Hirata. I think, yeah, it was going to be BV Itsuki, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the up and comer. I think that's for me. B is being positioned in a similar role of gatekeeper. Was they put her against Stamp. I think they're determined to make Itsuki their Japanese female star. Maybe a bit too soon. I don't think they want to. They've got Mengbo on one side. Chinese market's really important to them. So I wouldn't match her up with Itsuki too soon. I think, fuck, let's do Mengbo and Zhang Weili, huh? Grudge rematch. The only woman to beat. Why not? I know Chatri was talking this week about doing Zhong Jingnan against Weili. So why not the only woman to ever beat her? Huh?
No, Mengbo, she should fight Jin Radzuan, to be honest with you. I think that would be a decent fight.
Cool.
Even like it like B Nguyen, Jin Radzuan, like those girls are ones that you could put against like some of the up and coming comers to give them a good test. And if B Nguyen or Jin Radzuan win, that they prove that they still need to, they could go up in levels, right? And test themselves against like a Mei Yamaguchi. But I think I could see Mei Yamaguchi fighting B Nguyen next for some reason. I don't know, for some odd reason, because they're not matched up yet. I could see them fighting each other in Japan.
Yeah, I think they need to protect B a bit more. They're giving us some really, really tough opponents. I don't know, B's really game to prove herself, but I think it's important for her to win. They do need Vietnamese stars to push into that new market. You don't want her to keep losing. I do think she didn't deserve to lose against Bozena in Kuala Lumpur. That was the wrong decision.
Yeah.
But and I just think the Stamp fight, yeah, B gave it her all, but it wasn't enough. I think I'd like to see them not feed her to all these beasts coming up like Itsuki. Give her, yeah, May would be good. Let's see what B's made of, because she doesn't want to just be. Doesn't want to just make up the numbers. She'll tell you that herself. She wants to be a champion. So let's see what she's capable of. But yeah,
I feel like in the Stamp fight, like she went in there and kind of got caught up in the hype of Stamp and wanted to strike with her, where she could have probably went in there and took her down and kind of dominated her on the ground if she wanted to, but she got caught up in the hype and wanted to go strike for strike. And that's one thing great about ONE Championship is like if you go in there and put on good fights, you could lose like 3 or 4 4 in a row, and they're not going to cut you, especially someone like B who promotes the sport, that represents Vietnam. so many things going for her outside of the cage, where she can go in there and lose, win one, lose two, win one, lose two. If you're in the UFC, you do that, you're gonna get cut. They're not gonna want you around, right? So that's one thing good about ONE Championship for a lot of these fighters that have a country to push them, and yeah, you're right. They do need her to be one of the representatives for Vietnam, and I think she's the only one that speaks Vietnamese. I don't know if the other Vietnamese fighters speak Vietnamese that are like bilingual at least.
Yeah, what Martin? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I
I'm not
haven't.
sure either.
Yeah, I'll text him maybe.
Text them in Vietnamese.
Yeah, man. Well, my girlfriend's Vietnamese, so she could
Okay,
ask
so you
maybe.
just have her like copy and paste. You just have her send you something, and then copy and paste it to Martin and then Tan Lee, and then see if they respond to that. They'll probably Google Translate it or something. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just I don't know. Like I like looking at ONE Championship and looking at like just Asian MMA of like what kind of talents coming up in even in the UFC with like Zhang Weili and Yan Jiangnan and the Korean Zombie. It seems like we're waiting for the next wave now. That's the wave, the current wave, which is the few fighters right now, but and they're at the highest level, right? Zombies on the brink of a title shot. Zhang Weili is the champion. Yan Jiangnan is also at the brink of a title shot. It's like there hasn't been that ever in Asian MMA in the UFC. I don't believe. Has there? Have you ever remembered any time where there was these many contenders? Even Song Yadong too.
Yeah, I was going to say Song Yadong. A bit lucky to get away with a draw against Cody in Washington. Was it? I still think he's there. He's young, plenty of time. Great gym, alpha male. Yeah, there's never been a time like this unprecedented, and there's only more and more coming out. And I think that Performance Institute in Shanghai is a real game changer. It's already starting to bear fruit. From what I hear, speaking to people who are training there, I'm sure you're hearing the same from people like Ramona, Hong Kong's own Ramona Pasquale. She is improving leaps and bounds just by having access to such great facilities. I think you're going to really see that bear fruit in the next few years. ONE Championship, I got to mention my guy Lee Kai Wen, right? What do you think of him?
Oh yeah, he's still coming up. You know, I mean, he's at that gray area right now where he's not really a clear contender because I feel like he dropped down to bantamweight where he could have probably got a title shot at featherweight, but for some reason he dropped down. But even at bantamweight, he's one win away from a title shot.
Well, yeah, in one, everyone's always thereabouts if you win a few fights. I mean, look at Yuri Lapicus, right? I feel like he's leapfrogged the queue a bit to get that title shot against Christian Lee. But I think they want to save that Eddie Alvarez fight, don't they, for Christian? So why not? But I think it's easier to get a title shot in one. But that's awesome. Yeah, you get the opportunity and you take it. Good for you.
Yeah, definitely. I guess this is the last question. It says, "Do you think he can lean? Who's he? Who's that? I don't remember that name. Versus Bengbo 2 could happen since they both fought in 2015. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember that name. That's a weird name. I don't know. I can't answer that question. I'm not gonna lie and pretend I know who that is. You know, there's a lot of people that fake the funk, right? They're like, yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, he's pretty decent striking. You know.
Yeah.
A couple submissions in the back pocket.
Yeah,
Did you look her up?
Looks like. Yeah, it was 2015 December. Unanimous decision for Mengbo. Why not? Hey, sounds like it was in CKF. So I'm all for it. Yeah, if this person wants to see it, I'm down for that.
All right, well, Nick, yeah, we're about at the what is it? like 70-minute mark, and usually I don't try to go over an hour. It's just too long because we just sit here
No,
for fucking ever.
dude, I'm so
But
bored. Like, I could
yeah,
talk all night. Jesus.
yeah. So, but like by viewer wise, it's just they they'll start falling off. But yeah, man, appreciate the time, Nick, and yeah, we'll get you back on, every once in a while. Just pick your brain, and
Yeah, man.
hopefully get you back on when the shows start back up, and then we could just be talking about the cards, and that's just more in depth and more fun, and instead of just talking hypotheticals.
Well, I hope to reciprocate and have you on some kind of South China Morning Post show when I can figure out how to work out a webcam from my apartment. Yeah, hopefully we'll see more of John on SCMP too. We love your work, man, and yeah, hopefully looking forward to work with you soon. Fingers crossed, because some stuff in the works, isn't there?
I hope so, man. I hope so. We're working on it.
Yeah, yeah. No, cool.